Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the parts of the world. My name is Raymond, aka Array of Sunshine 21. Welcome to another edition of Array of Sunshine, bringing you positive stories to light. This is episode 17 of season 3. So good to see everybody in here. Uh, got a good crowd so far coming in. Oblong Seeker, welcome to a Ray of Sunshine. We got Sharon in here. Hey Sharon, hopefully you're having a great day as well. Frank, Frank is always in here. So good to see you. I know what he's going to be doing in here most of the time, but so good to see you, Frank. Hinsdale Girl, so good to see you in here. And let's see if I'm not missing anybody else. I don't think I am. And anybody else that's just watching, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate you guys so much for being here tonight. I'm just going to keep it simple. Um, I've been kind of busy this week, so I'm going to try to keep it simple this week. I'm going to be doing. Oops, get rid of this comment first of all. All right, there we go. I'm going to be doing 4 positive stories this evening, and also um, mainly for positive videos this evening. I'm going to show you. I think it's, I don't know if it's a show or it's a series that I picked up on YouTube, showing some water rescues, some current rescues, and hopefully, if you get caught up to any of that, they'll show you. Probably might show you how to rescue yourself with that. So we're going to show that. And also at the end, we're going to do the famous quote section at the very end. So stay tuned for that. So it's going to be a good show tonight, although I condensed some of the um, show down. But I think mainly that the video will consist most of the show tonight. So a little bit of break from reading after the 4 stories, which is awesome. So till then, we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. Nature Gary, thank you so much for following. Welcome to a Ray of Sunshine. So good to see you guys in here. And as always, as I say, to start the show off, make sure you auto host on your Twitch and also share out to your social medias like Facebook and Twitter as we try to spread some positivity in 2023. So if you guys are ready, we're going to go ahead and get started with our first story for this evening, already in progress. And tonight's first story is an army of 10,000 women saved India's rarest stork while giving each other a new identity. And this is from Andy Corbley of the Good News Network for February 15th of 2023. And as always, all of our stories, positive stories, come from the goodnewsnetwork.org. Make sure to give them a look. Any stories that's not on the show tonight will be on their website, and they have plenty of good stories over there. So make sure to give them a look. Some good stories over there on that website. So again, an army of 10,000 women saved India's rarest stork while giving each other a new identity. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get started with story number 1 of 4 this evening here on Array of Sunshine. And look at those storks up there on the head there. So let's go ahead and take a look at this story. And here we go. If you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get started. Changing attitudes towards conservation in the Indian state of Assam have these women wearing paper mache hats to support one of the world's most endangered storks. Once revealed for their foul smell, Karen-filled diet, and unhandsome appearance, the greater Ajundan has become a welcome member of communities where it was once killed as a pest, thanks to the pioneering work of a conservation hero. Dr. Purnima Devi Barman credits her mothering instinct for her interest in the protection of the greater Ajundan, or Hargelia, meaning bone of swallower, in Assamese. Continuing on, the bird has been persecuted for its traits, mentioning above, as well as the belief that they were bringers of bad omens, and can now only be found in 2 Indian states and Cambodia. It was during her pursuit of a PhD in stork biology that Dr. Barman rushed to the scene of a village where residents had cut down a nest tree resulting in several injured or dead chicks. Seeing the prejudice with which the villagers treated the nesting stork made her realize she needed to change opinions in Assam or the greater agenda would go extinct. She began to hold festivals to celebrate people in the villages along India's Brahmaputra River, hopefully I said that right, who had kadam or bird flower trees in their yards, honoring them as protectors and guardians of a rare bird. Everyone likes to be appreciated, and Tactic quickly began to work and ensured that the Adjundants had safe places to nest. Continuing on, during these occasions, Dr. Barman would use the opportunity to explain that, with a diet exclusively for carrion, the greater Adjundants played a crucial role in keeping the ecosystem free from the disease vectors like dead animals. So there's another picture of them again with the storks on the head there. So far, I'm liking her. I'm liking Dr. Barman's attitudes of trying to protect these storks. Let's continue on with the story now. She became renowned among global conservationists for mobilizing 10,000 women into the Hergelia army, whose job it is to advocate for and protect the storks. Quote, conservation is all about uniting people and building ownership, Barman told the Guardian. I've always believed that if given a chance, women can make a big difference in conservation. So here's the women are again, and they're put up the sign saying, save the greater Ajundan. And there's the bird right there that they're trying to save there. As we continue on. From just a few nests in 2008, Barman's unique all hands on deck approach to the bird's security has increased the number to 200 in 2018, and the number of individual storks has climbed back above 1,000 in Assam. In 2021, Barman established the Hargelia Learning and Conservation Center in a government school in Pachiria village, where volunteer women use songs and games to encourage children to protect the birds when they grow up. This year, Dr. Barman picked up the recent UN Environment Program Champions of the Earth Award, while last year she was named World Female Ranger and received the highest female civilian honor from the Indian central government, the Nari Shakti Puraskar. So, Dr. Barman, and I don't know which one's Dr. Barman, but I don't know if it will say it on the picture there, but um, really these villagers, you know, um, trying to make the greater agenda kind of extinct, but due to Dr. Barman's, quick thinking and maybe some studies as well, while she was trying to get her degree, um, trying to save the bird, she took it to very quick action to try to conserve the birds, and now you go from 800 to over, I think, what she said, 1,600 in the story, which is pretty incredible, and also um, hopefully more growing of the storks as well. So think about if she didn't witness this, that the whole stork, the greater adjunct storks would have been gone. So I really do love doing these stories of, hey, these animals once were extinct, but now they're gaining ground again and adding more to their population again. So I really do love these stories because you know these these animals, it's amazing to see different types and different species, but you hate to see some of them go extinct. So kudos to Dr. Barman for recovering and popularizing the great adjunct stork again. So, an army of 10,000 women saved India's rarest stork while giving each other a new identity. And this is from Indy Corbly of the Good News Network for February 15th of 2023. So that was kind of a good start there. As we move on to story number 2 for this evening, and this one I kind of like world records and also, you know, um, at the age and all of that, um, and the mental of what they have to do to achieve records here. So our next one is a 23-year-old rose solo for 3,000 miles across the Atlantic, setting race record for a female. It's from Andy Corbley of the Good News Network for February 15th of 2023. Let's go ahead and get the comments real quick. Let's see here. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Um, so Gary says, I see you on Randy W. Horton Twitch the other day. Yes, I was on Randy's one of Randy's guests on his Twitch yesterday. I told Randy, I said if I get a chance and the free time to get on, I would. And I said, well, it was early in the morning, but I said I had nothing to do, so I went on. So it was so great for Randy to have me on, and appreciate him. I appreciate him so much. Randy is a great guy, great guy, and thank you again for the follow, Nature Gary. So good to see you in here. Welcome to the show. Let's see. Sharon says, "I never knew they ate dead animals." Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I guess just for survival purposes that they were doing, but at the same time, that's kind of a rare species of stork that you don't want to, you know, to distinct. So, um, but some of these villages, and these farther out places, you never, that could be the only way for survival. But I'm glad someone stepped in and say, hey, we can't be doing this, can't be doing that. So, at least now the population is growing, and hopefully the villagers have gained a lesson at least to say, hey, don't do it. I thought they delivered babies. Just kidding. Frank says, no, 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 we're not moving on. What do you mean we're not moving on? Frank's done these jumping jacks again. Uh, Frank is commanding me to do it, and Frank was also a guest always. He was on there for about 5 minutes till his internet crapped out. So anyway. um Brenda, hey, how you doing, Brenda? Welcome to the show. So good to see you, Brenda. Hopefully you had a great Tuesday. That is Civic stage manager. So good to see her in here. Um Thanks for the shout out, Frank. Frank's always giving shout outs. So and Hinsdale girl says Frank mentioned it, so I followed. Well, thank you so much, Hinsdale girl. All right. So anyway, so I'm gonna give Frank the utter desire that after this story, I will do jumping jacks. And Frank said, "Yeah, I did change it to just chatting." So I took Randy's advice. We're gonna try to see how it goes on just chatting, and if it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. I could change it back if I want. So we're gonna change it to just chatting for maybe the first couple episodes, and we'll see what happens. All right. But so far, I mean, I'm not complaining. It's the same audience, so I'm not going to complain about audience size. All right. So anyway, so back to the story here, and after this, I guess we'll do jumping jacks, Frank, for Frank. All right. So again, 23-year-old Rose solo 3,000 miles across the Atlantic, setting race record for female. And again, this is from Indy Corbley of the Good News Network for February 15th of 2023. Excuse me. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get started with story number 2 of 4 tonight here on Array of Sunshine. And there is the lady here that is rowing along the sails there. So let's go ahead and get started. A 23-year-old woman just set the Telescope Challenge record for the fastest solo row across the Atlantic. Departing from the Canary Islands on the 10th of December, Miriam Payne rowed 59 days, 16 hours, and 36 minutes before arriving in Antigua last Friday. The extraordinary feat was accomplished to raise money for the East Yorkshire charity Well-Being of Women in Mind, Hull and East Yorkshire, for which more than 13,000 euros or $14,200 was raised. Quote, the last 8 to 10 miles were exactly really hard, Payne told the BBC. It's that point where you're there and you've done it, but you just have to finish it off. So 8 miles is nothing in the grand scheme of 3,000 or whatever, but it felt like some of the longest. The event was the Talisker Whiskey Atlantic Challenge, described as the toughest endurance event on Earth. No support is allowed. All food, water, and other necessities must be brought along. Telescore describes the Atlantic Challenge thusly. Let me get some water. Wow, that was weird. All right. Quote, sleep deprivation, hallucinations, hunger, and the ultimate test of body and mind will be balanced by sighting incredible marine life, witnessing the breaking of a new day, and sunsets that cannot be viewed by land. So there's the picture of her there rowing there. Look at Frank. Oh my God. Well, Frank put a hydrate out, so you know what? I'm gonna do it again. Cares. He always does this with his points. He always does these with these points. God Lord. Another one. There you go. That's two hydrates. I don't know how many I owed you. You're gonna keep spamming them, but anyway, let's keep going. All right, one more. All right. Payne rode 15 hours per day alone in the vast Atlantic Ocean during 86-degree days with strong winds. She spent Christmas Day rowing, and during parts of the journey was closer to crew on the International Space Station than to anyone else. Quote, the week before last, I thought I wasn't going to get the record anymore because the wind dropped and I was going nowhere, she told The Guardian. There was one day where I rode for 18 hours and I got less than 10 miles, so that was pretty demoralizing. I could just feel the race record slipping away. She felt she received a burst of energy when approaching Antigua. She could hear the screams from her family and friends waiting for her. GNN reported last month of the friendship, a team of two sets of twins, all of whom were brothers, who embarked on the same count. And I did do that story last Wednesday, last month. Another hydrate, Frank. So anyway, but that's incredible. Again, 59 days she rode. I'm trying to find it again. 59 days, 16 hours, and 36 minutes before arriving to Antigua last Friday. That's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible feat that she did. Imagine rowing for 59 days. Just doing that for 59 days. I couldn't do it. So very remarkable. And again, the first female to do it as well. So so kudos to her. That is very amazing. And just and again, the fastest solo row across the Atlantic. That's amazing. So story two, 23-year-old rose solo 3,000 miles across Atlantic, setting race record for female. And again, this is from Andy Corbley of the Good News Network for February 15th of 2023. As I will set up for our third story of four tonight. Again, short on the positive stories tonight, but we got a nice, good video coming up after these stories. So you want to stay tuned for that. And to set up our third story before we get to comments, 76-year-old student finally graduates 50 years after he began his PhD in philosophy. This is for Andy Corbley of the Good News Network for February 16th of 2023. Am I having a call too? No, what happened? All of a sudden, something happened. But let's see how it goes. Let's check up on comments. Seems like I am far behind on comments. Oh, Mawal's in here. Hey, Mawal, how you doing? Um, Shout out to Randy. Yeah, so Mawal's in here. So good to see you, Mawal. Good to see you in here, and thank you for giving Mawal a shout out. Um, Frank's gonna have you running to the bathroom with all the hydrates. So incredible. I mean, he does it. So 4 hydrates, lose the glasses, stretch, posture check, and jumping jacks. So I can do lose the glasses and jumping jacks at the same time. 7 more, that's 11 now. What? Anyway, Frank, Frank just loves to do these. Bro, those hydrates are so cheap. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to start raising them now for you. I'll let everything slide for 10 million points. No, man, check your. I say check your points because I gave you a whole bunch of points, so you can't be complaining about points. Mawal's here. How you doing, Mawal? Hopefully you're having a good night at work. Everyone, get ready for the jumping jacks. Oh yeah, I'm here at the job, of course. Yep. So hopefully it's a good night over there. All right, we're gonna go ahead and Frank has 20 points. I gave you a whole bunch of points, so maybe if you be nice, I'll probably give you some more points during the video. How about that? All right, so here we go. 7 people in here, so 7 people will get the jumping jacks and to lose the glasses. So you guys are ready? Here we go. Get ready. Here we go. 10. 10 jumping jacks. I lost my glasses. There you go. I don't know how many hydrates, so I have to get back on the hydrate uh, for a minute. So let me put the story up. I'll be back, guys, for a minute. Let me do something for a minute. I'll be right back, and then we'll get to the third story. So hold on. Okay, I'm back. I had to settle something there. Yeah, 20 points is a whole bunch, Frank. So spend it wisely, or you could gamble all and double it. I can't see without my contacts. Watch the replay. I don't know. I might delete the replay. So no, I'm not going to delete it. You sent him to the bathroom. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I had to do something. Let's see. Mawal, here we go. Mawal says, also, you should check our messenger chat when you get the chance later on to see what happened to me earlier today. I will do that. I will do that. Uh, Frank says that was a quick. How did you know I took a? You don't know. Settle something. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. How did Frank know what I did in the bathroom? He wouldn't know. Anyway, let's continue. All right, story number 3. Again, let's set this up again. A 76-year-old student finally graduates 50 years after he began his PhD in philosophy. And again, this is for Andy Corbley of the Good News Network for February 16th of 2023. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get started. I'll hydrate. I don't know how many hydrates. Oh, Brendan sent me a stretch. Thank you. We'll do the stretch on the next one. We'll do the stretch on the next one. I don't know how many hydrates I got left for Frank. I'm gonna have to total this all up before the end of the story segment or the end of this one. All right, so here we go. Let's get started with story number 3 here. Newly graduate Dr. Nick Axton said it took him a long, hard think to get his doctoral dissertation in order, which is probably what most PhD candidates would say. Unlike most candidates, however, it took Dr. Axton 5 decades before the 76-year-old student finally graduated with a PhD in mathematical sociology at the University of Bristol. He started all the way back in 1970 the year he received a prestigious Fulbright scholarship at the University of Pittsburgh. But after 5 years, he returned to the UK with the PhD unfinished. Quote, what I was trying to do in the early 70s was exceptionally difficult, said Dr. Axton. Some problems are so great, it takes the best part of a lifetime to get your head around them. He restarted the process at Bristol 7 years ago with the aim of finishing a master's in the arts before carrying on to a PhD in philosophy, finishing in 2022, age 75. This year, he received a doctorate in front of his wife Claire and 11-year-old granddaughter Freya. Dr. Axton's research, which he hopes to publish, builds on the idea he was working on in America 5 decades ago. It's a new theory for understanding human behavior based on the values each person holds. Dr. Axton said it has the potential to change our view of behavioral psychology. Let's continue on. During a varied career, Dr. Axton married, fathered 2 children, lived all over the UK, and was the creator and principal author of the school teaching program Oxford Primary Science. Back in 1967, when he started his undergraduate degree at Leeds, UK, men had long hair and women were wearing miniskirts. Smoking inside university buildings was the norm, and personal computers were still sci fi. Quote, it was still flower power and there was a revolutionary feel. It was the time of the Vietnam War, Paris, Prague, and student sit-ins, he reminisced. Sociology and psychology were suddenly boom subjects. I went to study them because I wanted to understand people. I have loved being a student again at Bristol University. All the other philosophy graduate students were around 23, but they accepted me as one of their own. Nick was an incredibly enthusiastic, energetic, and committed student during his time here, said his University of Bristol supervisor, Professor Samir Akshda. It's fantastic to see him graduate half a century after he started his original PhD. And what an incredible 50 years. Let's think about 50 years, 5 decades to graduate and get your PhD. That's incredible. So, again, he started in the University of Pittsburgh. Then he went to the UK, University of Bristol, and I think somewhere in between, he had to finish his degree. Probably life came about as well, but um, amazing. Let's think about being in college for 50 years. Just wonder how much the bills were, the tuition and everything were for 50 years. It might have been not bad. Probably was cheap at the beginning, and then you get around upwards and starts to get a little bit pricey. But 50 years and getting his PhD, and he probably knows everything now. And again, I think he said he was a principal in one of the schools, kind of like that as well, probably during his time or maybe afterwards. So, um, kind of it, kind of a great story to 50 years. Finally got his PhD in philosophy. So, very very incredible story. That's certainly like never give up um, to what you're trying to earn. So again, 76-year-old student finally graduates 50 years after he began his PhD in philosophy. This is for Andy Corbley of the Good News Network, February 16th of 2023. All right, we're going to go on to our last positive stories before we get the videos this evening. And this is an incredible story to read here before we get started with it. And the title is "She Turns Old Leather Sofas into Chic $200 Handbags to Cut Down on Waste, and they're flying out the door." And this is from the Good News Network for February 18th of 2023. Let's catch up on comments here. 50 years. 50 years to do a degree. That's something. Let's see. Frank says he sees me. I don't know what that means. Anyway, Frank said he saw me. I don't know what that means. 50 years. That is very incredible. And it's a long time. So I couldn't do 50 years now. But if it's, I can understand if it's you started, then life happens, which of course life's going to happen. Then you go back and maybe you got to do a few more courses. Maybe you're very interested to continue and then you graduate. I mean, that could happen. So maybe that could have been the path to why it was 50 years, probably. Uh, my wall says, bro, that's how long it's going to take me to get my bachelor's. Now, see, my wall, see, I can see you the story. That's that can that is a what can I say? Um, a motivator. Hey, right now you're in a pause right now, but you can go back and get your degree. So this guy took 50 years and he got his degree. So I mean, after reading that, I think that's something you should be ashamed of. I mean, again, life comes in. So, um, but as long as you go back and get your degree, I mean, I mean, that's something you can accomplish. So, his still girl says, longer than I've been alive. Right. So, same here. I'm just like, while I've been here, he was still getting that philosophy degree. So, I mean, wow. He went to college in England, was probably free. It could have been. It could have been free. I don't know how tuition is in other countries, but it probably was free. Sharon said, "I wish I had followed through with being an ENT again. It's not. It's not too late." I say, listen to that story. I'm just like, shoot. I took a break from college. Life happened. I was doing. I was going in for a teacher, but I just wanted. I might change the subject to something else. But um, it's not too late to go back to college or go fulfill something. So it's not too late. Brenda says, it took me a while to get my degree. Went for 2 years and left to work. That's kind of the same path that happened to me. I went for 2 years, I left for work, and I'm still working. I promised my mom I would go back, and eventually did get it. See, so it took a while, but see, Brenda got her degree, and I should be taking that to consideration as well. But it's somewhere in the cards for me. I know it will be. Once I hit the door to get it, then it will happen. But I feel like I'm gonna have to change majors or something though, because so and plus being around other jobs makes you want to think, maybe I should go into this a little bit more. So you never know what you can experience in the outside world that'll make you change your mind. So but anyway, so we're on to our last story. Before that, we're gonna get through all these points here. So Brenda did the stretch. I'm gonna do that. You know what? I feel like I fulfilled most of Frank's hydrates. Frank did a stretch. I did the glasses. Oh, posture check. We'll do that. I did the jumping jacks. Okay. So I don't know how much hydrates. So Frank, I'm gonna say this. This whole rest of bottle of water, that'll be the hydrate. So that solves that. So we're gonna do two stretches and a posture check. I think that will be a little bit easy. So we're gonna pull back up here for one more time and do a little bit of a long stretch real quick. Make sure we get that out the way. So usually I do this. That's that stretch. Weirdly enough, I've been walking today. The weather has been beautiful here today, so I took a walk today, which was awesome. So hopefully the weather gets a little bit more warm that I can walk more. All right, I think this is long enough stretch. All right, fulfill for two people. Thank y'all so much for the stretch. And Frank, thank you for the posture check. And we're about to go on to our last story for this evening. Thank you guys so much for that. We're gonna hydrate again one more time. So there we go. All right. So again, setting up story number 4 before we get to videos. She turns old leather sofas into chic $200 handbags to cut down on waste. They're flying out the door. And again, this is from the Good News Network, February 18th of 2023. So if you guys are ready, Let's go ahead and listen to our last story before we get to videos here on A Ray of Sunshine. Here we go. Um, an English woman is turning old leather sofas into beautiful handbags as a way to save them from the landfill. Lisa Crick gets the pre-loved couches donated to her for free, and she upcycles the good parts into totes, messenger bags, and luggage in the space of a week. She tries to use every part of the furniture that she can, even giving away the cushion stuffing for free to people for use as dog beds or to stock window drafts. Quote, I am a passionate about waste and conscious of how much we do waste, said the 53-year-old who calls her business New, Ba- hold on, New Bag Innings, New Bag Innings, like new beginnings, but new bag innings. So, okay, got it. When I see people with my bags, I get such a sense of pride. She sells her totes on a website and in a pop up store in Dilton Marsh, Wiltshire, England, for anywhere between 25 to 200 pounds, and says the sofa bags are flying off the shelves. Lisa tried her hand at sewing in 2018 when her husband Dave asked what she was going to do with the waste material from old curtains that had replaced. I just said I'll make luggage, she recalled. Never in a million years did I think I'd be here. So there she is with the bags, again from a couch or anything from furniture. She makes them into bags, which is incredible. Let's continue on. She turned to Pinterest, tried making denim bags, and continued to play around with different fabrics. The ex fitness instructor had more time to explore her sewing skills when the pandemic hit in 2020. And by the time lockdown ended, she had decided to pursue making bags as a business. She first sewed with leather after a friend asked if I fancied a leather chair. Quote, I love the challenge of different fabrics. Every fabric that comes and teaches me something else. She then started looking on Facebook Marketplace to collect sofas people were giving away. Lisa can make up to 9 bags from a sofa and chair and has also created products, including a line of aprons from hot air balloon fabric, carpets, and old jeans. One woman loved the bag so much that she ordered one made from her own sofa. Wow. So, assuming, looking at this, before there was the blue sofa, and those are the bags she made after with that sofa. And maybe that futon over there too, maybe with the futon as well. So, probably that's the bags made from that couch. Continuing on, she estimates that she has saved 20 sofas from the landfills over the last 16 months and sews 6 to 10 leather bags weekly to sell from her website. And each bag comes with a label to tell you what it was in its previous life. Quote, I'm so proud of the bags I produce. It's not about the money for me. I really enjoy what I do. So, and by the way, they have the website in blue from her website in blue. So, it, if I post a story on my Discord and you look at the story, it will feature probably the bags and probably how much they are. So, that's kind of incredible to use, old furniture, old couches, you know, kind of old furniture, I could say, and make them into bags. Or she made other things like jeans and stuff into other things like aprons and all of that. So it's very incredible that she's done that and also saves on the environment as that's the main goal of her doing that, trying to save on the environment, reuse um what she got and reuse it to make it something else and make a profit out of it as well. So that's very strategic on her end there. So she turns old leather sofas into chic $200 handbags to cut down on waste, and they're flying out the door. And this is for the Good News Network for February 18th of 2023. As that will conclude positive stories, and we're going to get to positive videos. 2 videos tonight, but this one's going to be the longest. Again, it's like a series that they did that I have seen, and I jumped way ahead. So it's going to show you parts of it. We're going to start all the way at the beginning. After these ads. But again, all the stories that are featured here tonight will be on my Discord. I'm going to try to put my Discord link up if anybody's interested. And also, I might need y'all opinion on something as well at the end of the show if y'all are still here. So anyway, so now we've settled up for our videos. And as part of the title says, a water or rip current rescues. So this series here features real life survivors of rip current drownings and people saving them and all of that. So we're going to take a look at this. Again, I do love stories that features rescues and how they did it. And maybe the video will also teach you how to avoid being the rip currents, or if you're in a situation, how to save yourself from it. So hopefully you will enjoy this video. Something a little different to go by as well. So we'll see how it is. It is 49 minutes. So like I said, it's like a show. So it's 49 minutes. And then after that, we're going to get to quotes. Quotes should be short as well. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this rip current video and the survivors and their stories. All right. So we're going to go ahead and press play. And here we go. Oh, by the way, let me get the comments real quick. Sorry about that. Sharon says a lot of work sewing leather. Yes. With the couch story, that is a lot of material from the couch. You know, just looking at the orange couch, that was like a full out couch. She made some bags out of that, and then the blue chair as well. I only saw 3, but she again the story says she could make easily 8 out of the couch, the leather of that couch. So um, just amazing work that she's done. And again, the good things is she's saving the environment. Also, she's making a profit out of it. So kind of neat. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the video.
There are powerful forces that move along our beaches. They pulse, they flow. Some can appear without warning, turning an idyllic beach setting into scenes of chaos and panic. Then just as quickly, they can vanish. They're masters of camouflage, often hiding tremendous power within seemingly calm waters. Here they wait for the unsuspecting, and there are many. The majority of beachgoers can't recognize their danger. Each year they claim more lives than all our natural disasters combined, and they're responsible for most of our beach rescues. Some people call these deadly forces rivers of the sea, but most of us know them by another name, rip currents. This is a story that will take you beneath the water's surface, into the heart of these powerful currents. It's a story about lives that have been forever touched by these rivers.
It was apparent that the people in the water weren't going to survive if I didn't get them in that boat to the shore as quickly as possible.
A community desperately trying to deal with a rip current problem in their own backyard. A dedicated scientist tirelessly working to bring an end to rip current tragedies.
In many ways, rips are much more unpredictable and much more dangerous than we ever imagined.
And heroic people putting their lives on the line to rescue others. The biggest fear that most of us have when we go to the beach is this: a shark attack. But shark attacks are rare. It's rip currents that are far more dangerous. On average, rip currents cause more deaths in Australia per year than cyclones, floods, and sharks combined. All these fatalities occur outside of the red and yellow flags or on unpatrolled beaches. These powerful currents can appear on any beach that has breaking waves, and Australia has a lot of beaches, almost 11,000. Less than 4% of these beaches are actually patrolled by lifesavers or lifeguards. So it's critical that all Australian beachgoers have a good understanding of rip currents, but unfortunately, we don't. Lou Armstrong is a former volunteer lifesaver and competitive ocean swimmer. He thought he knew what to do if he was caught in a rip, but a near-fatal run-in with a rip current proved that thinking was wrong.
We're Lou and Robin Armstrong from northern New South Wales. We've been living here for 20 years. Most Sundays we head on down to the beach for a swim. It's quite away from the flagged area, but we've been doing this for quite a long time and we're quite familiar with the area. On this particular day, there had been quite a bit of rain around and the water was murky, brown, uninviting, but because we've been swimming here for so long, I felt quite comfortable with going in regardless. I decided to swim parallel to the shore, swimming south and go for a certain distance and then turn around and come back. Swimming south and had already been in the water for quite a few minutes having a good swim, so I'd used up a fair bit of energy. I suddenly sensed that I was in a different situation that I had never anticipated before, and there was a surge or a current moving off the shore, out away from the shore, which I did not expect. The sensation of that water flow moving offshore was like, it was powerful. It was like you were in a river. I'd actually swum myself into a rip current without being aware of it.
Lou Armstrong has accidentally swum directly into the path of a fast-flowing rip current. His survival now depends on how he responds.
At one point there, I tried to swim against it, which was a fruitless situation. It got me nowhere. It burned up much more energy of what I had remaining anyhow, and I changed tactic and tried to swim off to the side of it. With the help of a few dumping waves behind me, I managed to hold my position, but as soon as the wave had dissipated, I was in the same situation. The rip was still taking me offshore at a faster rate than what I could swim any direction to try and get out of it. I was exhausted, fatigued. I tried everything I could think of. None of my tactics worked. I was getting very short of breath. So I was at that stage, the only option I had left was to put my arm straight up in the air and hope that somebody saw it.
I was just relaxing on the beach reading my book, and I glanced up and I saw Lou wasn't anywhere in front of me, so I looked down the beach and I saw he was a long way out, and I realised something was wrong. As I was running out to him, I realised that the conditions were really bad. At the corner of my eye, I could see somebody charging through the waves. It was very dumpy and I could feel the pull of the rip, and it was quite terrifying. We both tried to get Lou in, and at that stage there was waves were dumping us and crashing on us. we got him on the beach and laid him on his side and just made sure that he was okay and he was breathing. While we were trying to help Lou, somebody had notified the surf club, and a surf licer came down in a rhino and came over and put oxygen onto Lou.
Some oxygen onto you, Lou. Okay, I got your head, mate. Just relax.
All right. The ambulance is on the way. About 30 years ago, my brother drowned at Mermaid Beach. He got stuck in a rip and he wasn't found for 3 days. And destroyed my mum and dad, really broke their hearts and broke my heart too. So I know what it's like for somebody to die that way, and I didn't want Lou to go that way, that's for sure.
On the beach, and definitely during my recovery, where I was thinking to myself, how did this happen to me? I should have known better than this. After all the time I've spent, 20 years, and 12 of them with Surf Lifesaving Australia and Nippers here and with the local surf club, I should have known better. But there I was in a situation that I never expected in a million years.
Lou Armstrong was lucky to survive. If it wasn't for the efforts of his wife and a stranger walking the beach, he would have perished in the rip. But what exactly is a rip current?
Well, let me tell you what rips are not. They're not undertow. They won't pull you under.
I don't mean to pause it. I rarely pause videos, but I had to say this. Look at how that water, when they showed it at first, it was like calm. It was like, okay, well, safe to swim. And then imagine he got into that rip current and then all that water just out of nowhere just came. It's very incredible just to look at that. Like that just came in like a quick of an eye. So, and I'm sure he put scary stuff, and it really is scary stuff. So, just incredible, incredible. So I had to mention that. Let me go ahead and get back to the video there. I'll probably rewind it a little bit because they were getting to a question here. All right, here we go.
But what exactly is a rip current?
Well, let me tell you what rips are not. They're not undertow. They won't pull you under because there's no such thing as an undertow. They're not rip tides because they're not a tide. They're a current. They flow pretty steady, and they won't take you to New Zealand.
Rob Brander is one of the world's leading authorities on rip currents. He's a coastal geomorphologist and associate professor at Sydney's University of New South Wales.
Okay, so we came down, and this looked like a pretty safe place to swim, right?
For over a decade, Rob has been on a personal mission to teach the public about rip current survival. Around the world, Rob Brander is known as Dr. Rip.
What happens? People do get scared.
Every summer, Rob can be found on Australian beaches releasing a harmless coloured dye as part of his public education campaign. Within seconds, the purple dye reveals a lurking rip current.
The simplest way to describe rip currents is that they're strong, narrow, seaward flowing currents that extend from the shoreline out beyond the breaking waves. And they exist to bring all that extra water that's coming in with the breaking waves back offshore. And all of our recent research has shown that rips are incredibly complex, and they're much more unpredictable and dangerous than we could ever have imagined.
Many of Australia's rip current incidents take place on isolated stretches of coastline where the nearest patrolled beach is neither close nor convenient. But there are just as many drownings that occur within several hundred metres of patrolled beaches, and one of the nation's most popular stretches of coastline is not immune to the problem. The Gold Coast, Australia's holiday playground. It's known throughout the world for its beautiful coastline and stunning beaches. Every summer, millions of beachgoers take to its Pacific surf. Stretching out over 50 kilometres, this incredible coastline is also one of the nation's safest. Lifeguards and lifesavers work tirelessly to keep swimmers safe between the iconic red and yellow flags. But many locals and tourists swim outside of these designated safe zones. This can be a tragic mistake. It's a typical summer's day. A family enters the surf just 100 metres outside of an area patrolled by lifesavers. Within minutes, the young boy discovers he's being pulled away from the beach. He tries to swim back to the shallows, but he can't make any progress. Panic sets in as he struggles against a force that seems determined to drag him out to sea. Lifesavers see the struggle in the distance and immediately respond. This rip current encounter ended without tragedy, but sadly, every year many lives are lost on Australian beaches because of rips. All of these tragedies occur outside of the red and yellow flags. Many of these incidents could have been avoided if people were able to recognise the signs of an operating rip current. But 70% of Australian beachgoers don't know how to spot a rip.
The best way to spot a rip is to look for dark gaps. Right behind me, we've got a nice rip that looks like a dark gap, almost like a road or a path going through the surf. Now over here, it's a shallow sandbar. The waves are breaking, all starts flowing along the beach in a deeper channel and then turns the corner, and that's your rip. And that's what you look for, dark gaps.
Young males between the ages of 15 and 39 are the most likely to die in rip currents. So Rob focuses many of his talks towards younger children, hoping that his beach safety information will help influence their future decisions.
Today we've got big waves. All up the beach is big waves. No one's going to be swimming up there. If they want to go for a swim, they're going to come down here where it's nice and flat and it looks really safe. This looks like the safest part of the beach today. But there's actually a really strong rip current. And this is why they're dangerous, because most people, including Australians, don't know what rips look like.
The majority of rip current drownings take place underneath bright blue skies and what appear to be perfect beach conditions. There are many different kinds of rips, and scientists estimate that up to 17,000 rip currents may be operating along Australia's beaches at any given time. The most common type is a channelized rip. These rips occupy deep channels between sandbars, and they can stay in the same place for days, weeks, and even months. Then there's boundary rips, which can also be channelized and are found against headlands and other structures reaching out into the ocean like piers and jetties. But one of the most dangerous and unpredictable rips is the flash rip.
We've just had an example of a flash rip where all of a sudden the rip is pulsed out. Where those surfers are, you can see the chopped up, messy white water that's just gone out, and then it's just stopped. And that's one common thing about these flash rips is that they can suddenly occur anywhere where there's suddenly been a large group of waves breaking, and it pushes the rip out, and then it disappears. And then it might come up a bit further down the beach. It might come back 10 minutes later. And those are the really dangerous rips because it's difficult to see them, and it's difficult to predict when they're going to occur.
Bondi Beach, February the 6th, 1938. It was a sweltering hot day, and tens of thousands flocked to the famous beach for relief from the relentless heat. At 3 p.m, a sudden increase in the size and frequency of the waves created a massive flash rip, instantly pulling hundreds of bathers out to sea. Lifesavers scrambled to assist. 250 people required rescuing. 35 were pulled from the water unconscious, and tragically, 5 people lost their lives. It remains one of the darkest moments in our beach safety record books. A day now called Black Sunday. Rip current incidents are a major problem for many coastal communities, and one that a beachside town in northern New South Wales is struggling to deal with. A problem highlighted by a tragic event. Fingal Head, northern New South Wales. This small beachside community has a permanent population of just 600, but in the summer months, the numbers swell as tourists fill the caravan parks. Its surf beach is patrolled by lifesavers, but this isn't the beach that many locals and tourists are visiting. Less than 800 metres to the south, and on the other side of the headland, is Dreamtime Beach. This stretch of coastline is unpatrolled by lifesavers or lifeguards at its northern tip, and is considered a highly dangerous location, notorious for rip currents. But every summer, tourists and locals take to its unpredictable waters. It's a high-stakes gamble that has led to many near drownings and, sadly, some fatalities. Good Friday, March 25th, 2016. Dreamtime Beach was busy as people took to the surf to enjoy the long weekend. 7-year-old Rihanna is playing in shallow water while her mum watches on. Without warning, a large set of waves sweeps Rihanna off her feet and into deeper water. Within seconds, she's been pulled away from the beach. It's a flash rip, and Rihanna is firmly in its grip. Her mother races to help. But the pounding waves are relentless, pushing her back towards the beach. Ryan Martin hears the screams and runs into the water, heading straight for Rihanna. Exhausted, Rihanna's mother is barely able to stay afloat. She's beginning to drown. Raymond Williams sprints across the beach to help the mother. Raymond pulls the mum back to the safety of the beach. He's saved her life. The rip current is now pulsing, pulling Rihanna further out to sea, each wave blanketing her with water. Ryan Martin was once a volunteer lifesaver, and he's drawing on all of his water skills to reach Rihanna before she disappears from view. When Ryan reaches Rihanna, she desperately clings to him. She's consumed with fear, and Ryan knows that he must find a way to calm her down. Alone and increasingly isolated, Ryan is fighting to keep Rihanna afloat and safe. But the heavy effort is taking its toll. He's becoming exhausted. More help is coming. Luke Robinson has raced down from the headland and starts the long swim out to Ryan and Rihanna. When he reaches the pair, he urges Ryan to head back to shore, but Ryan refuses to leave the young girl. Together, Luke and Ryan work to keep Rihanna afloat, taking turns to support her weight. Levi, a local surfer, is now in the water and frantically paddling towards them. Ryan is so fatigued that he can barely keep himself afloat, but he continues to support Rihanna. Yet another surge of water rolls over the top of them, pushing Ryan beneath the surface. When the water clears, Ryan is gone. When Levi arrives, he can see only 2 people in the water, and his surfboard becomes their life raft.
Hang on.
Rihanna and Luke are now semi-conscious, swallowing water, almost unable to hold onto the board. In the distance, Levi can see a rescue boat racing towards them from Fingal Head Surf Lifesaving Club. Among the crew is Steve Kudzius.
The vision that I saw is something that you would never want to create ever again. It all unfolded. A sense of silence came over. The crashing waves seemed like they stopped. The lifeless or semi-lifeless people in the water, the look of distress on people's faces is absolutely gut-wrenching. Luke and the young girl didn't have a lot of time left. Once they fell unconscious, I knew it was a race against the clock to be able to save their lives. When I got them to the beach, they started to vomit and show signs of life again. At that point, members of the public assisted and they survived. I returned immediately to find Levi had found Ryan and was holding on to Ryan as best he could. So I picked up Ryan and returned him to shore and did all I could to revive him, but we weren't successful.
Ryan's family have struggled with their loss. They live now with the memory of what Ryan sacrificed to help a young child caught in a rip current.
He sacrificed his own life so that someone else, so he could save someone else, a stranger that he didn't know. And I don't think there's any bigger sacrifice than that. And that is hard for us as a family because we want him here, but I don't think there's no better definition of bravery than what he had done.
Many people were heroes that day. Without their combined efforts, more lives would have been lost. But if it wasn't for the bravery of Ryan Martin, who was first in the water, Rihanna would certainly have drowned.
He was absolutely a hero.
Rob Brander is a scientist, a husband, and a father, and is deeply affected by any news of rip current fatalities. These heartbreaking stories drive him on to understand more about how these deadly currents operate. To get inside the heart of rip currents, Rob uses GPS technology. These instruments are mobile devices called drifters. And when placed in a rip current, their onboard GPS units record data that helps Rob and his team understand more about what these currents are doing. Over the last decade, these experiments have recorded hundreds of hours of data across multiple beaches, and the research has revealed some astonishing information.
Data from the GPS drifters has revealed so much variation about how rip currents actually flow. And really, it's changed everything about what we thought we knew about rip currents.
To understand the significance of this research, it's important to know why rip currents form in the first place. To be able to form, rip currents need breaking waves. It's the spatial variation in the breaking waves, normally caused by undulations in the sandbars, that commonly begins the process of a rip current forming. A flow develops that moves from the region of intense wave breaking toward the region of reduced or no wave breaking inside the surf zone. This flow is the pathway of least resistance for outgoing water. The water flowing out along this channel is the rip current.
Our research with the GPS drifters helps us measure and understand both flow direction and flow speed, both inside the surf zone and outside the surf zone. The drifter data shows enormous variations in rip current flow patterns. Sometimes the rip flow exits well beyond the surf zone, out into deeper water. Sometimes it recirculates within the surf zone, but also that there's dramatic variations in both flow speed and the direction in incredibly short periods of time. The average rip current flows offshore at speeds of about 0.5 meter to 1 meter per second, but they all have a tendency to pulse. And what that means is that suddenly the rip current can just dramatically double its speed in a matter of 30 seconds. And then you're talking speeds of 2 meters per second, which is literally Olympic swimming speeds.
All this research has revealed that rips are far more complex and at times far more dangerous than we could have ever imagined. For Rob Brander, this information is critical to helping him answer a key question. What's the best way to get out of a rip current alive? It's a question that Lou Armstrong was faced with when he was caught in a pulsing rip current. On that day, Lou tried everything he could think of to escape the rip. He tried to swim against the flow. He attempted to swim parallel to the beach in both directions, but this strategy also failed to get him out of the rip. Totally exhausted, Lou was beginning to drown and almost certainly would have perished if not for the efforts of his wife and a brave bystander. What else could Lou have done? Was there another escape strategy that would have released him from the grip of that powerful rip current? It's a question that Rob hopes his research can answer. Rob Brander has committed his life to rip current research, and he won't rest until he can answer a question that has puzzled scientists for decades. What's the best escape strategy to get out of a rip current?
So one of the problems with rips, of course, is that no matter what you do, people will always get caught in rips. And you have to tell them something about what they should do. And one of the traditional pieces of advice that's been around for a long, long time is if you get caught in a rip, you should swim parallel to the beach. It's been there for ages. But is that true? Is that one single piece of advice going to work in all situations? And what our research has shown is that no, that's not true. And we've got to the point now through our experiments is that we have a much better understanding of what we should tell people to do when they get stuck in a rip.
This understanding has come through repeated experiments that required Rob and his research team to swim in different rip currents with GPS attached to them and to compare the results back to the data collected from the GPS drifters. This training exercise explains how this is done.
All right, so what we're going to do now is test what you should do if you get stuck in this rip. And we're going to try 3 scenarios. So I'll just draw it in the sand. We've got the beach here. This is the rip essentially going like that. We're all going to walk in together till about that spot there. Somebody's going to swim parallel that way. Somebody's going to swim parallel that way. Somebody's just going to float. And somebody's going to swim against the rip back to the beach. So that's the 4 scenarios that we've got. Typically, rip currents are about 10 to 50 meters wide, and they can flow anywhere from 50 to 100 meters offshore normally. But we've measured rip currents that have flown 400 meters offshore. It's never a good idea to actually try and swim against the flow of a rip current. In most cases, these rip currents are flowing about 0.5 meter to 1 meter per second, which is faster than most people can actually swim. So if you try swimming against that, you're just not going to make any progress whatsoever. We've also seen in our experiments that rips can pulse or accelerate and flow. So they can suddenly double in speed to about 2 meters per second. And even the best swimmer is just not going to make any progress at all against that rip. Swimming parallel to escape a rip can often work. In many of our experiments, there was a really high success rate of getting out of the rip. But it didn't always work. And the reason for that is because not all rip currents flow straight. And a lot of rip currents are these rotating eddies. Now, depending on when you try and swim parallel to get out of that eddy, you might find yourself actually swimming against that eddy circulation, which makes it really hard. The other option to escape a rip is just to stay afloat. And that makes sense because you're conserving energy and you can still put your hand up to signal for help. And what we found is that a lot of these channelized rip currents will flow in these rotating eddies. So if you get stuck in that rip current, that eddy flow will take you around and into shallow water where you can likely stand up and the waves are breaking. And you can use those breaking waves to get back to the beach and back to safety. The problem is that the average time for a rip current to recirculate you back into shallow water can be on the order of a couple of minutes to up to 10 minutes. And that's an awfully long time to expect somebody to stay afloat and to stay calm. The other problem is that if you stay afloat in a rip current that actually flows well beyond the surf zone, you're going to get stuck out there. And you only have two options. One is that you're going to get rescued, or you've got a long swim one way along the beach and then back in. And that's a long swim, and there's no guarantee that when you come back in that you're not going to find yourself swimming against another rip current.
Rob's research has revealed that there is no single escape strategy that is guaranteed to get you out of a rip current. Instead, you have options based on the conditions and the behavior of the rip. The golden rule is to never attempt to swim against the current. Remember to stay calm and focus on floating. Just go with the current and raise your hand for help. Depending on the flow of the rip, floating will normally deliver two scenarios. A circulating rip current should float you back around to either a sandbank or put you close to breaking waves, which will help you get back to shore. A current that flows directly offshore will normally float you just beyond the breaking waves where the rip will cease to operate. At this point, you can either continue to float and wait for rescue, or you can swim around the rip and back to shore. The other option you have, and this applies only to good swimmers, is you can try swimming parallel to the beach in either direction as you float with the current. In some situations, this may free you from the rip. Rob Brander's research has highlighted just how unpredictable these currents can be. The one factor that we have control over may in fact be the key to our survival in any rip encounter.
Really, panic is the biggest killer when it comes to rips. Rips don't drown you, they don't pull you under, but panicking will drown you. And people panic because they find themselves being taken quickly offshore. The situation is outside of their control. It's a scary experience. And what you need to do when you're caught in a rip is just sort of try and take control of the situation yourself. You can float and you can assess what's going on. Do you want to swim this way? Do you think that will work? If it's not working, float a bit, swim the other way, or just float. But if you're constantly thinking about the situation and thinking about the different options you have, you're in control of the situation, assuming that you haven't exhausted yourself. But you do not want to panic. Anything that will eliminate the panic response is the best approach.
Not panicking when caught in a pulsing rip current may be easier said than done, but your survival could just depend on it. Even the very fit can quickly find themselves in serious trouble when panic sets in, and it's not uncommon for someone to drown within 60 seconds of being caught in a rip. Panicking when caught in a rip current sets off a chemical chain reaction. The nervous system moves into a flight or fight response and floods the body with adrenaline. Consumed with fear, the swimmer often attempts to fight against the current, and this futile effort leads to a massive increase in heart rate and oxygen consumption. Fatigue is taking over as the swimmer scrambles to stay above the water's surface. Each intense effort leads to greater amounts of lactic acid flooding the body, causing muscular shutdown. The lack of oxygen is reducing brain function, and with this, the ability to make good decisions. Further struggle leads to total exhaustion. In less than 1 minute, a life can be lost. Nearly all rip current tragedies could be avoided if people didn't place themselves in harm's way to begin with. Complacency, coupled with a lack of skills to identify rip currents, remains a critical beach safety issue for people choosing to swim outside of the red and yellow flags or on unpatrolled beaches. Clearly, these are factors that have contributed to the history of rip current incidents along Dreamtime Beach. And now the Fingal community have decided this issue must be addressed.
Okay, what are the main rules that we talk about when we go to the beach?
And together, they're taking action. It's been 12 months since the tragedy occurred at Dreamtime Beach that claimed the life of Ryan Martin. Tourists and locals continue to swim along this unpatrolled stretch of coastline, and there have been dozens of rip current rescues over the summer. Steve Kudzias, the events that unfolded on Good Friday 2016 have affected. He and his crew saved lives on that day, but the emotional experience has left him struggling with post-traumatic stress. Despite this, he has been heavily involved in bringing members of the small community together to tackle the issue of rip current safety along the northern end of Dreamtime Beach. It's a grassroots approach to a local problem, and the town's Indigenous community have embraced the opportunity to be involved. Fingal is home to the Jirakai Surf and Culture Group, an Indigenous organisation committed to helping Aboriginal kids be actively involved in surfing and surf lifesaving. The organisation was named in honour of the Bundjalung Nation member who in the early 1900s was renowned for carrying out daring surf rescues. Joel Slab coordinates the group and runs the beach safety program. Jirakai, along with other members of the community, have been involved in dozens of rip current rescues along Dreamtime Beach.
Okay, so let's talk about rips. Udra, what's the best way to spot a rip?
It's usually like real messy and like real sucky, like sucks out to the back of the
You see the water stand up and you see a bit of sand in the wave. What happens usually at the end of a gutter?
A rip.
A rip, yeah. Why is that? Does anyone know why the rip form at the end of gutters?
The water like fills up in the gutter and then has to go somewhere, so it goes out.
Yeah, it finds its easiest way out.
Steve has invited Rob to Fingal to share his knowledge about rip currents and to see firsthand the significant issues that the community is facing.
So the patrol beach with the surf club is on that side of the headland, but everyone comes here. So why do they come here?
It's northerly wind. This is absolute paradise down here. Well, appears to be paradise until, as you can see now, there's two flash rips, nearly three in a row here.
Yep.
Starting to draw out, and they sort of fill into a gutter, and the gutter takes it around the headland.
That's why headlands are so dangerous, because in this case, if you've got, like today, if you've got a wind coming from the south, it's going to push the water up and push it out against the headland. And the opposite conditions when it's from the northeast, even though this is protected, the waves are going to be breaking out there, and the water is going to gradually move up this and out again, have river away coming.
Most of the rip locations almost tee up where a lot of the ramps to the beach are, a lot of the public access.
It's a classic situation, right? You're just setting up people to get in trouble in rip currents, and there's no one there to save them. But you guys have done some rescues. How often are you doing that?
Look, as a local community, it wouldn't be shy of maybe one a week between us all that we're doing a rescue here.
Wow.
2 weeks ago, we had a mass rescue where 6 kids and 3 adults were caught in a rip, and it was only by the swift actions of a few of our local surfers that they managed to get home to their parents, and fathers got back to their wives that night.
We talk about different stuff.
When meeting with the Jirakai group, Rob learns that not only have they saved many lives through daring rescues, but their beach safety education program is truly unique.
So you could come across someone, a rock fisherman that's been swept off the rocks at the lighthouse. What's the first thing you're going to do? First thing you should do is look and see if they've got an esky, empty their esky, throw it down to them. At that point, you've given them something to hold on to until you go and get someone to help them. If you see someone in a rip, they're going to be swimming towards the beach against the rip most of the time. So if you can throw in a flotation device to them, that flotation device will get to them in time. So do that before you go and get help, because that little bit of flotation buys them time. So Rob, with these sort of programs that we run, we look at trying to educate the kids to, if they can identify a rip, to let families know when they're on the beach that they're swimming in a dangerous spot. It's hugely important to prevent rather than, you know, go in the water and sort of save someone.
With so much of our coastline unpatrolled, we just can't rely on lifeguards and lifesavers to be everywhere. And what impresses me the most about what the Fingal community is doing is that not only are they educating themselves, they're educating other beach users. So really, they're citizen lifeguards, which I find incredibly inspiring. What else makes that rip dangerous? At dream time, yeah?
The rip makes it dangerous because it's
The Bundjalung Nation has a special connection to the waters of Dreamtime Beach. They believe that it's their duty to help keep Dreamtime Beach safe, just as Jurukai did 100 years ago. This dance symbolises a passing of the baton from one generation to another, as these kids and young adults follow in Jurukai's footsteps and continue his work as citizen lifeguards. On another beach, Lou and Robin Armstrong reflect on the day when Lou almost lost his life to a powerful rip current. He tried everything he could think of to escape the pulsing rip. Nothing. What else could Lou have done to help his situation? We know now through Rob Brander's research, the next option would have been to just conserve his energy, not to panic, and focus just on floating with the current. If the current was a rotating eddy, this strategy would likely have floated Lou back around to a sandbar and shallower water, where he should have been able to stand and then use the breaking waves to get back to the beach. If the rip current was flowing beyond the surf zone, Lou would have floated just past the breaking waves. At this point, Lou could either continue floating and wait to be rescued, or if he wasn't too fatigued, he could attempt to swim up or down the beach to get away from the rip and then back to shore. To this day, Lou remains forever thankful to a total stranger who bravely entered the water and helped save Lou's life.
The other rescuer was Peter, and the amount of work and effort that he put in to help Lou, bring Lou in, was amazing, and he is our hero.
And there was a nice little beach there. Then we had a storm that disappeared, and it came back last year, and then it's gone again.
In Sydney, Rob Brander continues his tireless campaign to save lives with rip current education.
So when you go to the beach, you look for these dark gaps. The other things you look for is the water being bumpy. So rips take water offshore, waves bring it back in. So the water comes together and it makes this bumpy and ripply surface.
Dr. Rip has been giving these talks now for well over a decade. His goal has always been the same, to get everyone to think more about rip current safety every time they go to the beach. It's a message that he can see as connecting with more families and more
Put it
kids.
this way, you don't cross the road without looking both ways. At least I hope you don't. And you do that automatically. So you should never go to a beach without spending 5 minutes looking for a rip current or looking for the flags. Because if you take those 5 minutes, you look for all this stuff, that means you're thinking about rips and you're thinking about the safest place to swim. You have to spend that 5 minutes. It's so important.
Rob Brander's quest to help save lives on Australia's beaches began that day so many years ago when he saw someone die in a rip current. Since then, he hasn't stopped believing that his education programs can make a difference. With over 11,000 beaches on our doorstep, Australia will always be an aquatic nation, and rip currents will always be the #1 beach hazard. For every story of a successful rip current rescue on an unpatrolled beach, there are too many others where lives were needlessly lost. Sometimes it's the life of a bystander who bravely entered the water to help someone in distress. Swimming between the red and yellow flags is always the safest option, but not all beaches have flags, so it's just as important for all Australians to understand rip currents, to know how to spot them, and what to do if they ever find themselves in the grip of a rip.
And I mute myself. I think we'll end it there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that video of the rip currents there, and it's just amazing that something we're not kind of a beach person, don't get in the water if you go in the water and don't know much about rip currents. I think we all had a little bit of an education on that this evening um, about that. Sharon says, "So I'm staying out of Australia's oceans." Pretty much Australia's, or even around here in the States. I mean, we could get up into a rip current, we wouldn't know. So you'll be amazed. I'm here in North Carolina. Some deaths can come from rip currents because people don't know about rip currents and how to manage it and survive. And Brendan said it was really interesting. It was very interesting. I will stay glued into that whole thing. It's very, very informal and educational and stuff you don't think about, and just learning what the doctor said and what the story was trying to say. Really, it can be survivable, but there's no easy way for that survival. So, main thing to do is stay calm. I mean, you see the people. I think the guy did do the hands up and stayed afloat on the waves, and that could have saved him. Just don't panic. I think that's the main thing they said is don't panic. Follow the rips. And there's a way you can go parallel if you can, but um, they said there's no way. But as long as you stay calm and find a way to get around the current and be back on the beach, that could be your survival there. Frank says amazing. Frank, oh my God. So yeah, my luck, I would meet a shark. That would be that would probably be a next story there. How to survive a rip current with a shark. So maybe rip currents might fend off sharks though. We don't know. They didn't say, hey, sharks and stuff. Maybe that could be the way to fend them off. Maybe I don't know. Brendan says definitely the key takeaway is don't panic. Exactly. That's the main one. Don't panic. Although there's not many options or a right way to fight off a rip current, that was the main goal he stressed. Do not panic. And that's what his story said. It can take less than a minute. If you start panicking and start not saving your energy up to find a way out, that could be life or death for you right there. So don't panic if you're in a rip current. That's the main thing. But also trying to find a way to leave in a calm manner as well. But they did give you a lot of some options to do. Either go parallel or go around the current. If you're far away, try your best to go around, or just wait for help. So, and hopefully that you will have help, and don't go to the unmanned beaches like some of them in Australia. You know, at least you get lucky. Hopefully, you get lucky for someone to help you. But at the same time, as you saw in the story, someone helped the girl and he passed away. So just keep that in mind. But don't panic is the main goal into that. Sharon says I live in Tornado Alley, and so sometimes it's steady to panic. Yeah, exactly, or easy to panic. Yeah, exactly. And I understand that too. How long ago has it been here? 2011, so that's what, 12 years? Not exactly 12 years, but about 11 and a half years. We had a tornado. It's rare to get tornado outbreaks here. I mean, we'll get once. It's like one or two areas maybe, but if you one day it was just like string of tornado warnings going up and down Carolinas, and it hit here, and I kind of did get panicked. Like I was living in a mobile home then, so I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do here. And we were all just huddled in the hallway, so I mean that was the only way. You can't be near windows or anything, and it didn't have windows, so um, so I can understand the scary situation on that, the scare factor in that, but luckily it subsided. Like I don't think it might have went to Raleigh. Maybe it didn't get far into Raleigh, but um, it halted the brakes near Raleigh. So luckily it did not uh, get too far. Now, if it did happen here, luckily, first of all, I'm in a big apartment building with bricks, but also I got a bathroom with no lights, so no lights, no windows. So that will probably be the only shelter I would have to avoid a tornado happening, which is kind of good. So, um, but yeah, tornadoes can be very scary as well. I now have a tornado shelter. That's good. That's good. And I kind of missed the whole basement thing. I used to live in a house with a basement, and that's also a good thing there. Um, so, but rip currents, tornadoes, all of that. Again, don't panic and all of that, and you know, safety is key as well. All right, so we're going to go into our last segment this evening, the quote segment, and I don't think I brought this up last week because I think I did all stories last week. So what I do if you're new to this, at the end of every show, I do a quote segment or try to do a quote segment in case it's anything special, and it has famous people that do quotes. I did Princess Diana, I did John F. Kennedy, I did Nelson Mandela. Um, those are the few names that I can name of, but I have done authors and all of this. So um, tonight will be George Bernard Shaw, and I have heard of him before, and he is an Irish playwright. So this is about 11 minutes. This is the last segment for this evening. So hopefully you'll enjoy the quotes that he will provide here. And Brandon says, I like this quote, good advice, and that's a nice quote. So our first what he's going to say is, write your sad times in the sand, write your good times in stone. And I kind of agree that. Shoot, sad times in the sand, it will wash it away. Write your good times in stone, it will stay forever. So I can't believe I broke that down too. That's kind of amazing. But anyway, that's what I get for it if I broke it down. But anyway, let's go ahead and get to our last segment, the quote segment. Hopefully, you guys will enjoy the quotes. I'm going to be away for a minute, but I will be back on the screen once I finish what I have to do. So, enjoy the quote segment, guys. This is the last segment here on A Ray of Sunshine for this evening.
Bad times in the sand. Write your good times in stone. Both optimists and pessimists contribute to society. The optimist invents the airplane, the pessimist, the parachute. Beware of false knowledge. It is more dangerous than ignorance. Learn how to do it better and listen to these quotes by George Bernard Shaw. The liar's punishment is not in the least that he is not believed, but that he cannot believe anyone else. Our lives are shaped not as much by our experiences as by our expectations. A life spent making mistakes is not only more honorable, but more useful than a life spent doing nothing. Don't wait for the right opportunity. Create it. We are made wise not by the recollection of our past, but by the responsibility for our future. Do not do unto others as you would that they should do unto you. Their tastes may not be the same. Never wrestle with pigs. You both get dirty, and the pig likes it. People who say it cannot be done should not interrupt those who are doing it. Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. It is not enough to know what is good. You must be able to do it. The truth is the one thing that nobody will believe. He who can, does. He who cannot, teaches. After all, the wrong road always leads somewhere. We learn from experience that men never learn anything from experience. Progress is impossible without change. Bravery doesn't get worse because it's a little hard. Wisdom is wasted on the old, and youth is wasted on the young. A woman always chooses the man who chose a different woman. Make it a rule never to give a child a book you would not read yourself. For every complex problem, there is a simple and wrong solution. There is no other edifice constructed by man as altruistic as a lighthouse. They were built only to serve. The things most people want to know about are usually none of their business. A government that robs Peter to pay Paul can always depend on the support of Paul. Liberty means responsibility. That is why most men dread it. Life is not meant to be easy, but take courage. It can be delightful. You see things, you say, why? But I dream of things that never were and say, why not? The fact that a believer is happier than a skeptic is no more relevant than that a drunk is happier than a sober. Better keep yourself clean and bright. You are the window through which you must see the world. Those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. Newspaper. a device unable to distinguish between a bicycle accident and the collapse of civilization. All men are the same in front of the woman they admire. There is no love more sincere than the love of food. My way of joking is to tell the truth. It's the funniest joke in the world. The only time one's education is interrupted was when they were in school. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. The secret of being miserable is to have the leisure to bother about whether you are happy or not. Criminals do not die by the hands of the law. They die by the hands of other men. Why should we take advice on sex from the Pope? If he knows anything about it, he shouldn't. Success does not consist in never making mistakes, but in never making the same one a second time. Patriotism is, fundamentally, a conviction that a particular country is the best in the world because you were born in it. There are two tragedies in life. One is to lose your heart's desire. The other is to gain it. He knows nothing and thinks he knows everything. That points clearly to a political career. You use a glass mirror to see your face. You use works of art to see your soul. A pessimist is a man who thinks everybody is as nasty as himself and hates them for it. If there were 20 ways of telling the truth and only one way of telling a lie, the government would find it out. It's in the nature of governments to tell lies. Hatred is the coward's revenge for being intimidated. You don't stop laughing when you grow old. You grow old when you stop laughing. When a thing is funny, search it carefully for a hidden truth. All great truths begin as blasphemies. Liquor is the chloroform which enables the poor man to endure the painful operation of living. The most tragic thing in the world is a man of genius who is not a man of honor. You'll never have a quiet world till you knock the patriotism out of the human race. The moment we want to believe something, we suddenly see all the arguments for it and becomes blind to the arguments against it. Doing what needs to be done may not make you happy, but it will make you great. Would the world ever have been made if its maker had been afraid of making trouble? Alcohol is the anesthesia by which we endure the operation of life. The savage bows down to idols of wood and stone, the civilized man to idols of flesh and blood. If it's hard for you to make friends, soon you'll realize that they're not always necessary. No doubt there are slavish women as well as slavish men, and women, like men, admire those that are stronger than themselves. A woman always hates a man who loves her with animal love. No diet will remove all the fat from your body because the brain is entirely fat. Without a brain, you might look good, but all you could do is run for public office. 10 pounds is a lot of money. Whoever gets them starts to live with caution, which means the end of happiness. We have selected these quotes from Nobel laureate George Bernard Shaw. His quotes are steeped in politics, religion, and art, and we hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching it.
All right. So that was George Bernard Shaw's quotes there. That might have been the best one that I have done on this show. I think that's the best one. I feel like he was like way ahead of his time. Way ahead of his time with the quotes there. That some of them we can relate to now. So I love the diet one. Yeah, I laughed at that. I say he must have been a politician. I think at the end he said something about politics and stuff. I don't know if he was running for politician or not. There were 2 or 3 of them that dealt with politics there. So um, maybe he could have ran for office, as we know. So, but a lot of good quotes there. Again, I think that was the best, probably the best one so far. Those were very, very great quotes indeed. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. That was George Bernard Shaw quotes there. And again, all of the stories and all the videos that were on tonight will be on my Discord. So make sure to check them out if you want to join my Discord. And actually, let me put the Discord up in case anybody wants to join. And by the way, that's the next thing I was going to talk about. I'm in a debacle of, a debate of keeping the Discord, and then I'm doing the YouTube as well. Well, I got to get back to doing the videos on it. So I'm just like, it's okay. Is everybody comfortable if I keep the Discord, or when I do the videos, because I can link everything that was on the show, probably in the description of the video to capture the stories again or all of that. So just something to think about, or if you have an answer for that. But between Discord or YouTube um, for that, because it's something I don't know. I'm trying to think about. So Brenda says whatever is easier for you. Yes. So I mean, I love the Discord because it's like, okay, after this, I can copy and paste, and anybody wants to look at it, they can, and also the videos. I feel like if you put them in sections, that would be great. But at the same time, if I do the YouTube, I post the YouTubes up. Everybody can get the stories, but if they want to say like a link or something, I can put it down in the description and all that. But I kind of still like the Discord a bit, and then that way I'll do my promos and all that stuff there. So I'm leaning towards the Discord right now, but I don't know, things can change though, so we'll see. So I'll probably keep the Discord up, but I did put the Discord link for anybody that is interested to join my Discord. Like I said, all the stories, and actually, let's go ahead and start that right now. All the stories that are on tonight will be on it as well as previous stories and videos I did from season 2, and also Summer of Sunshine. So make sure to check out my Discord as well. And I also said I had a YouTube. I'm still working on putting some back shows on it, a little bit behind on that. I think I only did like 2 or 3 episodes posted on there. So I'm gonna try to get to work on that. Hopefully a little bit tomorrow. Hopefully I could put up 2 more episodes and probably get to work on further down. So, but anyway, so plug for YouTube there as well. Mental Health Hour with Tim and Gemma tomorrow night at 6 p.m. They are going to be back with their show tomorrow night after Gemma took some time off for vacation. So make sure to join them Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern. Very, very good people. talk about a range of mental topics. Um, and they know they're not medical professionals. They want to say that, but they do know their stuff from past experiences. So make sure to check them out. The Mental Health Hour with Tim and Gemma on Tim's channel, Tim Comrade One, and also Jim in Chicagoland. He does Catalyst tomorrow night at I want to put 10. He's been doing them at 10 p.m. now lately. So I'm gonna put 10 p.m. and see. Hopefully that works, and hopefully change it back to 11. 10 p.m. Eastern for Catalyst tomorrow night. And also, he does Saturday Night Trivia, also 10 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays. Fun times over there. I wish I could be back on trivia. I haven't done trivia in over a year, but always a good time over there with the trivia. So follow Jim's channel, Jim in Chicagoland, as well. Also plug Randy. I know most of y'all are coming for Randy. I was on Randy's channel yesterday morning, and I appreciate him so much for tuning me in Wednesday morning. So kudos to Randy. Good guy. Make sure to check him out as well. He might go live soon, whenever that will be. So make sure to check out Randy. And all the other people here. Frank sometimes streams in Montreal. Check Frank out. Brenda, great moderator as well. It varies. He never did go see the Jeeps on stream. Oh, he didn't? He did go back on the second time. I kind of missed that. So I don't know if he did his right around the second time, but I didn't see it. So he missed the Jeeps. See, I just kept begging for Chevys. Yesterday, I was like, "Is the Chevys there? Did you go see the?" He just said, "Screw it, we're going to the Chevys." Sharon, you're welcome. Thank you so much for being here. If you guys stick around, we'll see if we can raid somebody real quick. Frank said he retired. I don't know. You're not retired. Stop. Frank is not retired. He's going to go live one day. I never saw him come on again. Yeah, it was a second. He posted on Twitter that he was going to go live again. I think he went live again, but I don't know how long he went live. So, when did he come back on? Probably 3 p.m. Eastern, my time. He came back on around 3 or 3:30 p.m. Eastern, my time. He came back on, but I was busy doing stuff, so I thought maybe he would stick around for a couple hours and I could catch him at the end. So, Brenda loves Frank's doggy, and I didn't even get to tweet. Oh wow, really? But yeah, he sent a tweet out. So I didn't get a notification for Twitch either. Wow. So, but I know he had the tweet out, and then he went on a little bit later. But that must have been a fast stream because I didn't see it, and then none of his stuff wasn't saved on the on his VOD also. So he passed away almost. Oh yeah, your dog. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it sucks to lose the fur babies. I kind of understand that. I had my a dog we cared for pass about. That was like years ago, but he kind of was let's just say I don't know if he was like a puppy and he was just like at our front lawn in our house. We kind of took care of him, but he still just wanted to be there, so we took him in. And he grown up to be a nice dog, and then he just passed on. So at least we treated the dog and gave him a nice home and everything. So at least we did give him some love at the end there. So I'm starting to feel like Mauricio. If y'all know who this person is, he's on Jim's broadcast. Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, but that was like years ago. So I know he's doing great in the dog heaven world. So we ain't gonna get that. I'll wait till tomorrow for that. Oh my god. All right. Let's see here. Now, since there's you three here, I don't know anybody else. So here's who I'm thinking. We got Claire Means, Tao. Tao is on. DJ Everett. Joker's on and Jeeves is on. Those are the raids I can give out. So I'll give 4 people a nice raid here. Either Jeeves, Joker, who I say Tao or Claire. Or y'all can say, hey, you know what, it's up to you, do whatever. So I do have someone rated in mind as long as see what this person is doing. So excuse me. Much is shopping. Hold on. Oh, ads. Anyway, up to me. Okay, I gotta go mod Moon Man. So up to you. Okay, stay on 5 more minutes. Sure, Randy's coming. Yeah, but I have to go. It's Moon Man on now. Hold on. If he is, I can teleport over there if you want me to. I don't see him on though. I know I followed him, but I don't see him. So, all right, I'm gonna rate Tao. How about that? Oh, he is on. Okay, hold on. Well, I don't see him. Oh, there he is. I'm thinking just movement. He is on. All right, we'll rate him. How about that? We will rate him. We're gonna teleport Brenda over to Moon Man here. If you don't know, he crafts knives and stuff, bottles and stuff, right? Yeah, he does. So I have been in his broadcasts a couple of times there. So we're gonna go ahead and give him a raid. Give someone a raid that I have not raided in a while. So Glass Moon Man, yeah. Pipes and Marbles. There you go. So hopefully you guys will enjoy him. He's a good guy. I've been in his broadcast 2 or 3 times. And he is 420 friendly. Exactly. Frank might like that. He could gamble and he is 420 friendly. So anyway, so we're ready. Thank you guys so much for being here. Really do appreciate you guys. And I will see you guys next Tuesday for another edition of A Ray of Sunshine. Till then, be positive, be safe, be kind to one another, and hopefully you guys have a great rest of your week. So take care and always forewarn people about him. So all right, guys, take care, everybody. Bye bye.